Greetings. Today I would like to share with you a story in the Bible that many interpret as literal and secular history. And this story is written in the Old Testament in the book of Judges. As a matter of fact, it's Judges chapter 7. Okay, and I'm going to explain it to you metaphysically and esoterically, just to point out to you that the Bible addresses the human mind and must be interpreted psychologically. For it is not literal, neither is it secular history. So from the beginning to the ending of the Bible, it all have to do with the human psyche. That's why I definitely encourage you to read from this Bible, which is my Bible, the 66 Books of Magic, the Overcomer's Bible, because it's all about you discovering your magical self and acting as a true magician by understanding how thoughts and emotion with inspired action, how it will bring forth all of your desires manifestation. Now, it tells you that Gideon was a judge in Israel, and you are actually Gideon, the judge, who have to judge yourself. You are the one who have control over your mind, and you have to control your thoughts and your emotions. And so when it tells you of a mighty army, of a great army, it represents the mind with all of the thoughts, okay, that you have to battle each and every day. And so it tells you that Gideon received a message from his higher self. Now it is teaching you that your higher self will lead you and guide you and direct you in the right path. And that is how you're able to overcome doubt, fear, guilt, shame, and condemnation. So you will not be defeated. Instead, you become an overcomer. And so it tells you that Gideon had this mighty army, but he was told that this army was too big, and that if they win the battle, they would believe that it was their own might. There is where it is teaching you about the ego self. Many a times we believe that we can conquer by operating in our ego self with our many reasoning and our many logics. But it's only when you understand energy, vibration, and frequency, and you understand how imagination creates reality, then you will realize why you're told that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Because it's very important for you to understand the law of mentalism and understand that you're a triune being in terms of your physical, your mental, and you are spiritual. So it's very important for you to understand that. That is why it tells you that when Gideon reached out to the men and asked them if they are fearful, they can always go back. You see, the whole message there is that you cannot expect to overcome if you have doubt and fear. You cannot expect to expand and grow in life if you've been controlled by doubt and fear. And so we have a system that has been set up, not for you to win, but for you to lose, because it's a system that is based on fear. So the whole educational system, the religious system, the political system, all these systems have been set up to keep you to vibrate on the energy of fear. Make you feel that there is lack and scarcity in your life. And they shift you away from looking at nature and understanding natural laws. But here we see that from an army of over 32,000, 22,000 were willing to say, well, I have fear, I have doubt, I cannot go forward in this battle, I'm going to turn back. And that just describes the life of many people in this world who give up on their dreams and their goals and who forget who they are and forget the creative power that they can use to achieve their every desire and conquer every situation in life. And so it tells you 22,000 men were willing to turn back. They were willing to give up. Many people are giving up right now. Many people are still trapped in the physical three-dimensional world. That is why many people are very much fearful in a time of recession. They're very fearful in a time of inflation because they're failing to look within to realize that the battle is being fought within because it's a mental battle. It is not a physical battle where you fight on a field, but it is within. And so it tells you that Gideon was further instructed that even the 10,000 men that he was left with was still too much. You see, my brother and my sisters, sometimes you may get rid of your religious beliefs in terms of stop going to your denomination or whatever. But many a times you're still battling with a lot of things in your mind. But you have to be completely free by breaking the curse of mental slavery, because it is something that has been passed down, and you have to be completely free by understanding that true salvation is self-realization. That is why true freedom can only come when you come to know who you are. And so it says that Gideon was instructed to go down to a place where he will find the element of water. You see, when you read the Bible and you read all of the stories, it all showing you the element of earth, wind, water, fire, and the spirit. And you are spirit, and you are to master these elements because you are a magician and you are an alchemist, and you have to use your alchemical power to achieve your every desire. So it says that you must take them down to the water, and those who would bow down and lap up the water with their tongue like an animal, like a dog, they are the ones who will be rejected. You see, when you start to go so low or vibrate so low at the level of the animals, whereby you are thinking just in the five senses and you can't see beyond the five senses, you're losing the battle. You're not fit for the army of life. You see, life is a game, and you have to know how to play the game. So you either learn to play the game of life, or you get played by the game of life. And many people have allowed themselves to get played. If you look at 2020 to 2022, you know what happened. And how many people allow themselves to get played. Okay? And so those were the ones who are rejected, but it show you that there were 300 men who stood their grounds, who stood upright while taking their hands and fetching the water and bringing it to their mouths, while their eye was focused on their goals, their dreams, their desires. They were focused on what they were seeking. They were seeking to win the battle. And so, as I would have explained earlier concerning your triune self, whereby your physical, your psychological, and your spiritual. These 300 men represent that. It represents completion. It represents the divine trinity of man, whereby God and man are one. And so it tells you that these 300 men were the ones who were qualified. And that is why, my brother, my sisters, I always interpret the Bible to you on 3 levels, which is the physical, the psychological or mental, okay, and the spiritual. But those who want to keep you in mental slavery, they interpret the Bible to you as literal and secular history that is pointing you to look outwardly, and they interpret it to you on one level, which is only the physical level. That's why they keep you in fear. And so those 300 men, as I said before, represent the completion. When you come to know who you are and you know your power, then is when you will blow the trumpet. You see, my words will not return unto me void, but I must accomplish that which I sent to and prosper in the things whereto I send it. Those are the people who would know that whatever sound or vibration they send out into the ether, it will come back to them, because they understand the principle of sowing and reaping. Those are the people who would be called the overcomers. Those are the people who would realize that the battle is theirs to win, because they have the overcoming power within themselves. And so it tells you they were the ones who blew the trumpet and who break the earthen vessels. You see, you have to break this physical self that wants to keep you in the ego mindset, that wants to keep you limited. And not until you break that physical self that you would realize that you are spirit having a human experience. That's the only time that you would realize that you are more powerful than what you were taught by the system. And so, my brothers and my sisters, when you realize that your body is the vessel in which the infinite resides, then you start to act from the world of spirit, because you will understand the thought world, and you will understand how everything been transmuted from energy or from thought form to reality. Okay, then you will understand, as you sow, so shall you reap. So my brothers and my sisters, this whole story about Gideon and the 300 men that conquer, that improvise, that overcome, it is only a picture for you to use your imagination to be the man or woman that you would like to be in this world. That's what it's really all about. It doesn't have anything to do with people, literal people who existed thousands of years ago. No, it's all mental. It's all psychological. It's about you discovering your spiritual self and operating from your spiritual self. And so when you break the vessel, that is you discovering that you are the destroyer. And then when you been tested and you win the test with the element, then you know that you're the operator. And when you can hear the voice or the instruction of the creative power, then you know that you are the generator. Then you know God, what it means to you. Because you know that you are the generator, the operator, and the destroyer. So, that entire story is just teaching you that you are God in flesh, and you must operate as God in flesh and win all of your battles and overcome all of your enemies. And your enemy is your negative self, your lower self, your animalistic self. You must overcome your animalistic self and live in a higher self. because you are given dominion and power over all other things. And that is why, if you do not operate from that aspect of life, you will always be beneath, and you will all be like grasshopper, and you will see all of the other things that the system set up to be giants that is over you and controlling you. But I'm saying to you, rise to the occasion by taking back your power and using your power to achieve your every desire. And you can only do that if you accept the fact that the Bible addresses the human mind and must be interpreted psychologically. That it is not literal, neither is it secular history, and that it have no reference to anyone who existed thousands of years ago or to any actual event that would have taken place on earth thousands of years ago. You have to accept the fact that everything in the Bible from the beginning to the ending, it's all a great psychological drama, and it all have to do with the human psyche. Therefore, you must be willing to unlearn, relearn, and reprogram your subconscious mind to look inwardly to discover that your real identity is your divinity, and use your creative power wisely for the upliftment of yourself and the rest of all of humanity. Okay, and that's the key. So, with that being said, my brother and my sister, I want to thank you very much for listening to me. I want to say to you, if this is the very first time that you listen to me, what I'm saying, if it makes sense to you, if it really resonates with you and you haven't subscribed already, I'm definitely encouraging you to subscribe, to like, to comment, to share this video. Also, if you like to follow me on Instagram and you like to follow me on TikTok, you can definitely follow me at Black Man Guru. And I'll also encourage you to get my latest book. It's called Spiritual Recipe for Better Living. And there's where I'm opening up the Bible to you metaphysically and esoterically, and pointing you to understand the Bible psychologically, showing you that it all have to do with the human psyche. Therefore, if you get those recipes and you apply them in your life, you live your life sumptuously as an overcomer. And I'll definitely encourage you to get a copy for yourself and also for a friend or family member. Share this knowledge, because people all around the world need this knowledge, because many people still believe that the Bible is literal and secular history. They still believe the way how it was interpreted to them by the system that is keeping them in mental slavery. Also, if you'd like to be a part of my Patreon community, you're most welcome. And there's a lot of good information that's available on my Patreon. However, for people donating $20 or more, you have access to a course that is called the Inner Sun Science and Technology to Create Your Reality Consciously. And along with that is a bonus course on self-concept. So if you feel strongly led to listen to those videos, I'll definitely encourage you to do so. Also, if you'd like to book a one-on-one with me, or you would like some coaching or mentoring, you can reach out to me by way of email, and as long as we come to a decision, we can definitely work together and expound more deeply on these things. However, just before I leave you, I just want to remind you that if you feel strongly led to support this work, that we have a PayPal, and that the link is always down below. So with that being said, my brothers and my sisters, I just want to say peace, love you all, out.